G'day, wonderful listeners. This is episode 72 of TrevsTalk, and I'm your host, Trev. Last week, I left off talking about an upcoming meeting with Chelsea and Mary from the Salvos, and I'm happy to report that the meeting took place as planned. We were scheduled to meet at the Salvos Hall, about half a kilometre from where I live, but when I went there at the designated time, I found the Salvo ladies parked at a locked gate. The hall was closed, so we all drove a short distance to past Patisserie, a coffee and cake shop, and had our meeting there. I had manila folders for each of us containing documents describing various aspects of the Moorditj Scholarship Fund. So we sat round a table with each one having a folder. I then spoke about each document as we all went through the folder's contents and said it would be a good idea to go through the documents first, as any questions would probably be answered as we go. Then I went through the documents one by one, explaining how the fund works, with the local Aboriginal school supplying students and the 4 co-founders supplying the funding. Co-founders being the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, Vinnie's and the Salvos. And as I suspected, questions came from both the ladies as we went through the various documents on different aspects of the fund. As I answered their intelligent and probing questions, I got the feel of how they were thinking, and the vibes were good. I sensed they were coming along in a positive frame of mind. By the time I had talked to them about each of the documents in their folders, I was feeling confident that they were with me. They were saying things that were showing positivity. Chelsea said towards the end of the meeting that the Salvos were a national organisation and they had their systems that decisions had to go through, and Daryl, her husband, the boss in West Australia, had to be consulted, but she would advocate for me. Mary had asked a lot of questions during the meeting, and I had been able to answer them all in a way that satisfied her. She was in my court by the time the meeting ended. I felt sure of that. Chelsea had picked up on how the Moorditj Scholarship Fund could be copied at schools other than the one I was collaborating with. She said this project could even be copied at a school in the suburb in which she lived. So you can see how she was thinking and why she was happy to advocate with her husband Daryl. The meeting ended with Chelsea saying she would email me, and I took that to mean she would let me know what happened in her advocating with Daryl. That now is as far as I can go at the moment. I now have to wait and see if an email comes from Chelsea, hopefully with good news. Just now, when preparing this episode, I am waiting for a meeting later today with Mr. Freeman, Pete, of the local Aboriginal school. I have a meeting scheduled with him at about 3 p.m. when the students are all on board the buses that take them home. When the students are all gone from his care, he gets some time when we can chat. I have questions for him so that I can get my head around how we can not only grant scholarships to Pete's students, but to students from surrounding schools as well. Pete's school is the Moorditj Noongar Community College and has all students of Aboriginal heritage. But there are 4 more schools with large cohorts of Aboriginal students closely surrounding Pete's school, and if I can raise more funding, maybe we could run a Moorditj Scholarship Fund project at those schools. I can see how I may be able to raise meaningful donations and need to chat with Pete on how it best to get the collaboration of the other schools. So you see, wonderful listeners, I am pausing here for a few hours before my important chat with Pete. I will report to you on how it goes later. Well, wonderful listeners, I am back on deck after the meeting with Pete, and it went really well. I went into it with lots of questions on how do we keep contact with scholarship recipients after they transition from primary to secondary school. How do we keep in contact with our scholarship if a recipient leaves our public system school and attends a private school? The recipient's parents need a go-to person after their child transitions from our local Aboriginal school so they can continue to access the scholarship funds. And how do we handle students that want to leave school and take on an apprenticeship? Or how do we handle students that pass year 12 and want to attend university? In all these instances, I could see it easy for me to arrange the payment of scholarship expenses like books and uniforms if the student's parents got the invoice to me, but I could not see how the parent dealt with the new school attended by their child after leaving our school. And I had lots of other questions, but I need not to have worried. Right away, after Pete and I entered his office, he started talking about how he saw the way to go forward with the Moorditj Scholarship Fund project and just how he saw his position in that project, now and in the future. He said he would continue to supervise scholarship students after they left his school. He said he had about 10 years to run before he hit retirement age, and he would continue to supervise those students even then. This meant to me that Pete would be a control point. He would be doing all necessary to keep scholarship students under our supervision in a scholarship sense. We would never lose contact with the students or their parents, and the scholarships would be carried forward with the students, no matter where they attended school, and right up until they left the education system. So, much to my delight, Pete would do the hands-on part of the work needed to conduct the scholarships, and my part would be just to make payment for the items needed by the scholarship students, like books and uniforms. So the Medjugorje Centre's Moorditj Scholarship Fund project would be a war chest. It would handle the money side of things. This put all my fears and worries aside. So we chatted further, and I asked Pete how he felt about the possibility of drawing more of the surrounding schools that had large cohorts of Aboriginal students into our Scholarship Fund project. Pete then explained how he met on a regular basis with the principals of the surrounding schools, and he thought some of them would be interested in doing the same thing he is going to do with supervising the scholarship kids. I found that information exciting, as I could see us reaching many more talented students and fostering their talents. I could see the Medjugorje Centre concentrating on the raising of funds and paying the scholarship students' school costs, and Pete following the individual pathways of the scholarship students until they finish their education. Then I remembered a psychic reading I had years ago in Darwin with a spiritual man named Manfred, who told me in a reading that I would in future form some sort of partnership with a man and we would do a lot of good works together. When remembering Manfred's prophecy, I thought, yes, this collaboration with Pete is a sort of partnership. I hope we fulfil Manfred's prophecy and do lots of really good things with this scholarship project. I have learnt in the past about an organisation called Opening the Doors Foundation in Victoria that is doing something similar to what the Medjugorje Centre is doing with scholarships, and Opening the Doors is having really great results, which they measure by their hugely improved retention rates of students in Year 12. Well, wonderful listeners, that's it for this week. I have news on my desire to fly planes and will report on it next week. This is Trev, tuning out